Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing great and excellent at your end. So, today we are back here again with the second day of Azure Bootcamp that is precisely focusing on AZ900 certification offered by Microsoft. AZ900 certification focuses on the basic fundamentals of getting started with Microsoft Azure, some policies, some how to get you getting used to with Azure services and some basic fundamental stuff. Today we are having again here Agam sir with us, who is a senior engineer, and he has been doing incredible in the cloud field. He's a multi-cloud certified, and he has been doing a pretty amazing work for the community also, and a lots to come from him. So Agam sir is going to take this session for today, and over to you, sir. Happy learning, guys.
Thank you, Lakshit, for that introduction. So, hi guys, welcome to the day two of AZ900 Bootcamp. Today, we are going to discuss a bit in deeper section about the cloud concepts in Azure. So, let me just share the screen. So, I hope it's visible.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Right. So, today we are going to discuss a bit in deeper section about uh, Azure 900. So first of all, let's divert our focus towards the main aspects here. So these are the skill outline which is given by Microsoft. That so yesterday we discussed that how stuff used to work back in the day when cloud computing was not mainstream, and how things used to work, and some of the core concepts behind virtualization and the operating system and networking and all that stuff. So now we are going to jump directly to the main things. So first of all, let's discuss the basics. So now we are going to discuss first we are going to discuss the shared responsibility model. So let me explain it with the help of a diagram. Right. So uh, this is what defines. I hope it's quite visible. So this is what defines the shared responsibility model in a very holistic fashion. So what happens is that it basically means that whatever cubes you can see in the blue section, these are taken care of by the customer, and whatever is in the gray boxes or the light gray boxes, this is taken care of by the cloud vendor or the cloud provider. So for instance, as of now, like in on premises, the customer is responsible to take care of everything in the right from the infrastructure, networking tools, and operating system till the applications, and along with that the physical servers and other components. And as we discussed yesterday, so in IAS, the customers do not need to take care of the physical infrastructure. Rather, they are just in control of the upper layers, like they can choose the operating system, they can choose the whatever applications that run on it, they can control their servers, but they do not need to maintain an overhead of going in and checking on all the devices and whatever physical aspects of the game. So similarly, as we progress towards from IaaS to PaaS, which is platform as service, the responsibility of the customer decreases down to just keeping in uh, uh, check of about the accounts and identity, device and data. That's it. They do not even so in applications and identity. So for example, in PaaS, what happens that it's a shared responsibility. You see, if it's both ways. So applications which are running on the infrastructure, so they are a shared responsibility of both the customer and of the cloud vendor. So this is a shared responsibility, and we need to whenever we create a new account, if a customer is working there, so they need to make sure that these type of the responsibility aspects are taken care of, and whatever operations we are given into with the customer, we go through that, and so that it's not a difficulty, there's no conflict. So that's how it is. And similarly with SaaS applications, as you can see, Salesforce, Google Drive, and all these third party applications, where the customer is just responsible for maintaining their accounts and identities and their data, but apart from that, everything else is taken care of by the cloud vendor itself or the company. For example, in Salesforce, they are just given a portal, and the whatever identity, whatever users are logging in, and what is the current directory flow there, how many users are there, it's a shared responsibility of both the customer and the cloud vendor. I hope it's understandable. So next, let's jump on to the next topic, which is so we did this one. Now we are okay. So now we are going to discuss the cloud models like public, private, and hybrid. So generally, three types of cloud models are there. So first of all, let's discuss public cloud, which is the most common one. Okay. So here, as you can see in the public cloud, what happens that, for example, this is Azure. So Azure is just another example of the public cloud itself. Public cloud is where it's open to not a single organization. Anybody who wants to use the cloud services, they can uh, create their own accounts, and using their accounts they can access their own services. So for example, if a company A called let's say it's Parley G, like Parley Agro Limited, they want to use this company, they want to use some services of cloud like virtual machines, or they want to host an application for their usage using the web app services, right? And they create their own subscription, they create their own account, and within that account they have their users, they have their internal users. If they want to give guest access to somebody, that also can be given, and like that it keeps on working. So similarly, there is another company which wants to use the cloud services, they have their own account and they can use it, and based on their consumption, on the pay as you go model, they have to pay a fix, they have to pay the amount every month. So that's how it goes. But so next one is the private cloud. Private cloud is where which is just solely used by the single company. So and all the resources which are there in the private cloud, they are used by the single organization. So for example, if a company is there, and let's take an example of like Realme. Okay, so they have their own data center in China. They want to uh, enable all their 1000, whatever employees access to shared services of the cloud, but they do not want but they do not want that infrastructure to be enabled for the public usage. So they will virtualize their existing infrastructure and they will enable it for their own company usage. So this is adds another security layer to the uh, uh, portfolio, but it also brings in the additional expenses because the company has to take care of everything, and it's not a shared infrastructure, it's not shared with other companies. So if it's a rack of, let's say, total 100 or 150 servers, then of course the company has to pay for all of the stuff. So that's how it is. And the third type is the hybrid cloud. Let's check the diagram. So this is just another example of the hybrid setup, wherein we have the data center on premise, okay, and we have all this stuff enabled on the Azure cloud, which is given on the right side, and we also have the other cloud vendors or the SaaS applications, and they are all connected together seamlessly. So this is what a hybrid type of setup looks like, wherein the customer is using on-premises, or what is on-premises? It is nothing but the customer's own data center or their own services. They are not sharing it, or it's not enabled to the it's not shared with anybody else, okay. And it's the customer's own setup, and they are connected to the cloud entity also. So that's how it works. So okay, so let's jump to the next one, which is the consumption based model. Okay, so consumption based model is like, for example, if a customer is like, as we discussed before, like the pay as you go model. So whatever you consume on cloud, like just like electricity, we pay the electricity bill, we use the services and we pay for it. So just like that, it's a consumption based. Whatever you consume more, you have to pay more. If you consume less, you will have to pay less. So that's the main funda of this. All right. So now let's jump on to the next point, which is high availability. Okay. So high availability is nothing but uh, when we talk about when we talk about a system which is available 24/7. We do not want any failure or anything to happen. Okay, we want all the services running 24/7. uh, like yesterday we discussed the example of banking sector, right? So in banking, of course, we know that the system are very critical. They do not they can't be offline anytime, right? They have to be for example, if somebody is doing a transaction at 12 p.m., or he's it's very critical for him to do the transfers, but because of the server issue, or the server not responding, he's not able to do it. So it's very critical setup, right? So and similarly we have Amazon or Flipkart or any other shopping website where sale is going on and suddenly the server goes down. So it's a huge loss to the customer and it's a huge loss to the company also, right? Not just one, because millions of users are connected at a single at the same time. So the company also has to bear a loss in millions, right? So that's why we need the systems in the organizations to be highly available. So Microsoft has come up with this specific SLAs in the Azure environment, so that you can expect some downtime. Downtime is nothing but if you are if your server is not responding, and the downtime is very minimal. They make sure of that. So let's discuss the SLAs in Azure. Right. So here we see different SLAs for different services. What is SLA? It's a service level agreement given by Microsoft, that this is the guarantee time where our services will be running. Okay. So generally the service guarantee for the services it's like 99.9%, right? Which means just a normal downtime of around maximum would be 3 to 4 hours per month, not per day. So which means that the services would be available like 99% of the time. And even if you want to increase that service level agreement, you can do that. How you can do that? There are n number of methods. Like you can enable backup, you can enable disaster recovery, you can also enable the LRS, GRS, and ZRS. So these three are redundancy services. So you can create another copy of your server to some other data center. Okay. And similarly in the same region you have three copies, and you have copies of the it in the different data center and also in the different region. So that's how you can increase that SLA thing, right? So for different services we can see that there are different SLAs. So in Cosmos DB we have 99.99%, and they cover the guarantee for it. Okay. Yeah, so this is what I was referring to. So if the monthly available percentage is less than the 99.9%, so for example, if Microsoft is not able to give you the available, it goes lesser than the downtime, they will give you a credit back into the bill. So if your monthly bill is around 1 lakh, so they will decrease that. So but you did not get that, but you uh, your services were not running in the given service level agreement. So the agreement was breached, right? There was whatever they agreed to, they did not perform, right? So that's why based on the downtime, they can give you the credit and it will be deducted from your bill. So 10% of the bill would be waived off. Similarly, if your availability is less than 99%, which is more than 5 hours to 6 hours per month, so or 25% of your bill would be waived off. This is only in very difficult situations, or let's say very rare situations, where there is a disaster or there is a issue in the data center, there is some security issue or something like that. But all these things do not happen in general. They are this is a very rare chance, and if it happens, you will be given a credit for it. Like of the monthly bill, you will get a waived off. Okay. So next is the we are going to discuss. So because the thing is that we have very limited time. Even the syllabus is quite huge and it's quite vast, so we are going to discuss the main points which are kind of complex. You guys are quite smart. You are in first year, second year, third year, whatever. You'll be able to understand these some of the concepts quite easily. Okay, so we are just going to discuss in very brief fashion, but the concepts which are quite hectic, or let's say kind of complex, when for a newbie into the cloud, we are going to of course discuss them in a bit detail, right? So these IS, PAS, and SAS we have already discussed before. So I'm gonna mark it already. So next is the Azure region pairs and sovereign regions. So first of all, let's revisit the definition of regions, right? So what are Azure regions? Let's discuss first. I'm going to open the Azure Map to show you a view of wherever the data centers of Azure are located worldwide. Okay, so I hope the globe is visible here. Okay, we are going to see that. So the wherever you can see the blue dots and the orange dots all over the globe. So these are the places where Microsoft has built their data centers. See, so if we focus here in India, let's do this. So here you can see that these white lines, this is the Microsoft internal network, and the Microsoft global network. Like all the data centers are interconnected to each other. So here we see this is the Chennai data center, right? And this is the Pune data center, and uh, this is the Indian geography, and here we have the uh, cache locations. Similarly, we have data. We can use all the data centers around the world. So, like if we have our customers in US, we can use the data center which is available in North Central US, Central US, East or West US, whatever location we want to refer to. And we also have data centers in Europe, like UK South, UK West. All these are regions. So what a region comprises of is uh, n number of spaces. So let's first of all discuss this, and then we'll check the full diagram of what Azure region comprises of. Okay, so this is the general data center space. It's a facility which is available worldwide, and this is generally how it looks like. Okay, so this is how the servers are located in the data center. Okay, so once we jump in here, so here you can see the racks, right? So within these racks, there are n number of, let's say, there are like around 15 to 20 servers in the single rack. So this is what is called the shared infrastructure, where the different companies have their uh, uh, servers allocated. So control, so when we go to the Azure portal, okay, so from there we when we select the virtual machines, right? So these so when we click on to create a virtual machine from the portal, so all they are all connected to the single control plane. And from when we click on create machine, so from one of the so let's say this is the central India data center in Pune. So one of the servers from here will be activated. Okay, so when we click on the create virtual machine, so one of them will be allocated to you. Similarly, all the organizations have different servers here. So this one belongs to some let's say person A, this belongs to person B, C, D, E, and so on and so forth. So that's how things work here. So this is if we just pull it out and from one of the server racks. That's how a general system looks like. And similarly to the servers, we have all other facilities which are available here in the data center. I hope it gives a little bit of other clarity uh, to all the students here. So this is the holistic view of an Azure region. So for let's say this is a data center in Pune, right? So this is the Pune region wherein we have three availability zones. So what is availability zone? So it's like in a single Azure region, there are one or there are at least two uh, data centers which are available, and there can be more than that. So let's suppose they have as three data centers in one Azure region. Okay, so all of them are given the naming convention for the availability zone, which means that they their main function is to enable the availability of the application. Okay, so for example, and they are interconnected to each other with the fiber cables. So in the single data center, we already saw that how a server room looks like, how a network room looks like. Okay, so all these things are present in each of the data centers. And for example, if we are hosting some services in the zone one, right, and we want to create a copy of that. As of now, three copies are available in the single data center, and if we want to increase that availability, it goes to the next zone, and similarly it can go to the other region also. So it is just for increasing the availability and maintaining that level that on the services should not be going down. So we discussed this. Let's also take a quick look at the definition along with it. So region, what region is that each Azure region features data center deployed with latency defined parameter. They are connected through a dedicated low latency network. So it ensures that the Azure services within any region offer best possible performance and security. So data centers, each region has fixed, as we discussed, that they have their own latency defined parameter. What it means? It means that their every Azure Regions focuses on that the latency should be as less as possible, uh, that they can enable the customer with faster services. And in availability zone, they are physically separated locations in each Azure region, which are tolerant to local failures. So, to failures such as earthquake, flood, or okay. So, why these availability zones are there, that the main aspect would be that if a disaster happens or any for example electricity goes down in this single data center one, okay. So uh, but my services are running there, so how will I keep it running? uh, so this will have a, if I have the availability feature enabled, okay, I have a copy of that same virtual machine in the other data center, so that will start running until the time it's back up again, okay. It will be running in the secondary data center. Similarly, if this one goes down, it will have the third location where the virtual machine is replicated. So that's how this whole nexus works. That the customer is ensured that even if our data centers are uh, facing some issues, like due to electricity is not there, or if there is a natural disaster like earthquake or some other thing, floods or anything, so there will be yours, but it will not affect your services. Okay, so now let's jump to the resource and resource groups and subscriptions. Okay, so this is the overall hierarchy of how things are working in Azure. So once you create your account, okay, you have your Azure account where everything, your root account is given and you have access to the portal. So from there this hierarchy starts working. Within the same account you can create multiple subscriptions. So each subscription, what it comprises, that it will have different billing, and within the subscription you will have resource groups, and resource groups you can create multiple, and in the resource groups you will have the resources. So this is your choice, that what, how many number of subscriptions you want to create and how many resource groups you want to create. So subscription we can decide based on our uh, based on the organization. So if we want to manage different billing for different sub organizations, so let's say it's a Tata group, so they have they want to create different subscription for Tata Steel, and they want to different create different one for the Tata Motors. So they will have different subscriptions, so that they can have a very clear view of how much bill is coming each month. And they want to also make sure that the budgeting and the finance department works in a very better fashion, because they can check with the with different subscriptions. It's very easy to monitor that how much we are spending on the cloud. Okay, so this is about subscription. But so once we create this subscription, inside there are resource groups. So if we want to create any resource on Azure, a resource group has to be created first. That is the first step. Within the resource group, you can create multiple services like storage account, database service, or virtual machines, or web app services, or whatever other things you require, serverless options. So resource groups help us to create similar to how subscriptions work. So it's a kind of different thing where resource groups is like we want to create different resource groups for different departments. So if we have in the Tata Motors, we have different departments like IT, retail, and sales department, and similarly uh, we have finance, we have legal. So if we want to make sure that if there is a IT department or the R&D department, we want to give a permission, the administrator can give multiple permissions to access all the resources there. Because they are doing research work, they might need the use of the machine learning service. Okay, they might need to use the IoT hub. But if we move over to the sales department, they are just given specific services, like some virtual machines, or maximum usage would be just to showcase to the customer a demo that how things work on and there. So similarly, we have we can create different resource groups to differentiate that these are the things, and it is very easy for the IT administrator to manage that, we how we can distribute our resources to the to the employees. Okay, so this is yet another architecture of the account. So you can see that we within the same account, uh, we have different subscriptions. So we have created different one for HR, for finance, and for marketing. And from there we have different services in it. Okay. So now let's jump on to uh, so yesterday we discussed this. Let's jump onto this compute section. So yesterday we discussed the Azure virtual machines, VM options, right? And now we are going to jump into, okay, let's complete. Okay, so yesterday we discussed the Azure virtual machines. Now let's discuss in brief about the VM scale sets. So scale set is used if we want to create and manage the multiple servers. We want to have multiple servers in a set, wherein depending upon the demand or the whatever issues are there in the virtual machine, we can create a predefined set of n number of servers in a line, and based on the traffic they can increase or decrease. So that is the main aspect here. So the important points would be that multiple virtual machines can be created here, and we for the traffic distribution a load balancer is used, and with auto scale feature you can enable the threshold. So for example, if a single from the whole VM scale set, let's say, and this single VM is working as of now, but their utilization reaches 80%. So it's increasing the load, right? So now the load is transferred here. So that second server starts running, and if load further increases, then the third one starts, and then fourth. So that is a very good architecture, wherein we do not have to uh, there is no downtime, or let's say the server is not disabled. just to show you the diagram here, how that. All right. So the next one is the Azure Virtual Desktop. So Azure Virtual Desktop is a PaaS service where the customer is given a virtual PC and with the help of a portal. So that is the main thing. So it's a enable the secure remote work. Main part is that you can uh, like if you have heard of VDI, which is the virtual desktop infrastructure, it is that service which is given by a Microsoft. Uh, so here you can it can help you to save cost by using the existing license. So if you have like currently if you have some laptop and you want to manage the uh, you want to manage your own system, like some companies have the bring your own device culture, but uh, they want they want to make sure that only you run the services which are enabled by the company. So they provide you with this license of Azure Virtual Desktop. What it does is that the core competency requires is this only. You can access it using uh, from the Windows, Linux, or even web-based service. There is no restriction about the operating system. So if the company wants you to work on this system remotely of their own Windows 10 Pro version or Windows 11 or whatever, so they want to do that, uh, and they want to give you the access, but they can't give you the system. They just want to give you the enable it remotely, okay, like a virtual PC. So that's how they just provide you with the link or the portal access. From there you can go down there and then check it. So the underlying is the same layer. So you can see that it's a Azure Virtual Desktop is a cloud virtual desktop infrastructure platform which delivers the virtual desktops to you. And generally it has the Windows 10, Windows 11, and you can also have full control on the management and deployment. Plus, it is just like the other services. It has flexible and consumption-based pricing, like the pay-as-you-go model. Okay, so now let's explore the web services. So app service is used generally for the hosting web applications, and you can use any type of frameworks like .NET Core, or Juvie, uh, and you can use PHP, Node.js, Python, all of that, and it can run on both Windows and Linux environments. So app services, just like for example, if it's a very usable service for developer. So if you want to just directly host your application there, and you want to enable everything, so it's very easy for anybody to create app service plan and do stuff, right? And why do we use this? So main thing is that you can have multiple language and framework and all that stuff. You can have you can use containers and dockers. Similarly, it's quite enabled with the DevOps. So how it is, because it is coupled with the Azure DevOps. You can couple it with the GitHub and Bitbucket, and you can use Docker Hub, right? And its connectivity features to other Azure services and other third-party services like GitHub and Bitbucket is quite easy, and it can connect with the SaaS applications also. So, and it's seamless to add it with the Visual Studio subscription also. So, an app service environment can host your Windows applications, Linux applications, Docker, function apps, and logic applications. And it's a PaaS service where you will have to pay just for uh, the hosting, and also the application management is a shared responsibility model. So you can deploy the application on the Azure infrastructure, but it is a shared responsibility that you need to make sure that the dev needs to make sure that the code is quite it's secure, and also it's a responsibility of the cloud vendor, or let's say Azure, that they have to deploy it in a very infrastructure which is whatever the customer requires. Okay, so now let's discuss the Azure networking part, wherein we'll be discussing the in brief fashion that how virtual networks and subnets and pairing works. So this is the general overview of the virtual network. If you can see here, this is the general boundary of the virtual network. So like we created um, the networks spaces back in the day, uh, using the routers and switches and all the network infrastructure, we have created a virtual network, as the name suggests, in the Azure, inside which we can deploy the services, which we can create in which we can connect internally or externally. So if the customer is using these services, they first of all need to create a VNet. Inside that, they will have to create their whatever services they require. And it's the customers, if they are using IaaS services, uh, it's the customer's choice to create a default VNet, or they want to create their own custom VNet. Okay, so default VNet option is given, where the Microsoft from Microsoft backend they can suggest you a network space. Okay, within that network space you can create subnets, and within subnets they can you can create the resources. But if you do not choose that option, the other option would be that the customized version, where you can choose your limited defined network space and address space, and within that you can create your customized subnets. So that's how it works in the virtual network. All right. So now let's discuss the network peering. So this is yet another concept where you can enable the connection between uh, the two virtual networks. So let's say this is the VNet one, VNet A. This is the network space, and this is the VNet B's virtual network, B's network spaces. So they are both different, but we want them to be connected with each other. So what it means is that if there is this virtual machine can be internally connected with this virtual machine, like they are part of the same network, they want to assume that, right? And how we can do this using the peering. So this VNet peering means that two virtual networks could be connected to each other through a system that be it a software or hardware or whatever. So wherein they are interconnected and they can the resources can talk to each other internally. Do not need to uh, feel that they do not need to uh, be first of all externally reaching out to the other to the router, and from there they can connect, but they have to be connected internally. They cannot talk to each other if they are not peered. So this is enabled in that case. So next is the DNS. So just like the as the name suggests, it's a service which is given by Microsoft for hosting your domains on Azure. Also, you can use this service to manage your records by using the same credentials. So, but the main point here is you cannot use Azure DNS to buy a domain name. You can go to some other registrars like GoDaddy or Hostinger, but you cannot buy any, let's say, service from here. And but you can delegate the domain to Azure DNS. For example, I'm using so let's take an example. I'm using asus.com, or let's say sony.com domain name. Okay, I can delegate to Azure DNS service and it will be enabled from there. I can also manage the DNS records. So what it the main features would be the performance. Okay, so you can also enable the security because it has role based access control. It's a very important topic which you need to be uh, knowing about. So Azure role based access control means, for example, I'm giving a role specific role to a person, and specific role means like he's an administrator or he is a developer. So I'm giving specific role of a developer, and I can allot that role to a specific user in my organization. uh, it will have a predefined template that this is the services he can use, and this is the restriction of a developer. So again and again, I do not need to delegate a customized access to a user. So for example, Arun joins in as a developer, and next day Vivek joins in, and next day John comes in. So next day Priya joins. So like day by day, the IT administrator or the cloud administrator, he has to give the access, but how can he directly? It's very hectic, you know, to create a specific role again and again, right? So he will create a role of a developer, and within that role he will have specific rules, like this is the for a developer, these are the ABC resources. You can use virtual machine, you can use app service, you can use SQL, that's it. So he will just assign that to all the developers instead of creating it one by one. So that's how it is, right? So I'm just I'm just stopping the share. We're just around 5 minutes left. So if anybody has some comments to share, or they can ask.
Yeah, so someone has question regarding this, the subscription and everything. So subscription basically you can Karthik, you can just what you can do, you can go with the subscription. There is a free tier option. You have two options. Like Azure gives you two choices. First of all, the student pass. You can you can just claim your student pass by your GitHub ID. You can GitHub developer student pack gives you $100 credits for 12 months. You can just claim it by there with your student college ID. The second option you have when you sign up for the Azure first time, you get 200 credits for free for some couple of services that you can use for next 12 months. So these are the two ways, and the third way is the most simplest way that you can adopt. And I will suggest this is the best way because we are starting this initiative with a couple of times, and we are giving a lots of Azure passes, multiple times swags and everything. So you can just take part in Azure Developer Community initiatives that may be something like this bootcamp. So this today's day two of this bootcamp. And on the day three, we will be having a quiz too. So those who will be winning the quiz will be getting Microsoft Azure swag. Plus, some of them will be getting Microsoft Azure total passes worth of rupees $50. I'm sorry, worth of $100. Okay, so you can just take a chance of participating in these quizzes and these competitions, and you can take those portal for your use. There will be subscription for 1 month, and you can use according to your flexibility. So this is about the subscription. So I guess there is no far any questions I can see in the chat. Okay, sorry, Karthikeyan saying I'm joining it. So you can see this recording anytime, whenever you want, because this is available to you. So yeah, so far we have sir has covered a lot of things. So we have covered subscription part, policies part, a lot of things, and some crux needs to be covered. And still, for passing the AZ900, you have to have play it hands on. So try to use the Azure portal on your own. Try exploring Azure portal, and you will see yourself in the Mohawk. No questions from Mohawk. Thank you to Agam sir for coming for this boot camp. He's investing his time, so all thank goes to Agam sir. So
My
yeah,
pleasure.
perfect.
Thanks, Mo. So
And
I want to add just one more thing that, of course, like Lakshit said, absolutely correct. That we need to do the hands-on part. Of course, it's very important so that you can get once you get a hands-on approach, you will get to know, thus. All the options which are available specifically for, let's say, we are creating a virtual machine, or the web app. We want to create an app service plan, so there you will see that you know uh, they will ask you a lot of questions there. You want to you will get a lot of options. You want to choose this size of machine, you want to use this disk, how much time you want this available, what is the LRS, ZRS, what is the service level agreement. So all these things they will ask you. So there you will get to know a lot more things rather than just uh, going in through the documentation.
yeah,
So
documentation. Yes, definitely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm just sharing Agam sir's profile also, so that you can just get connected with him on LinkedIn itself. So here is the profile. Yeah, so here is the Agam search profile. You can just get connected with him on LinkedIn. And if you have any queries in between, please let Agam sir know. Or otherwise, you can just ask your queries tomorrow so that you can upskill yourself and you can just get resolve your query at the meantime. And also, I would like to share one more point. So in case so. Definitely, you are getting a lot incredible insights from Agam sir about the AZ900 certifications. So we will be providing you Microsoft Azure portal passes to appear in your exam for AZ900. So suppose if you get if you clear the exam, we best of luck for the exam first of all, and we really appreciate if you tag us for the if you win the certificate and if you pass the exam. The only thing that I want to share is also 104 AZ104, that is basically Azure Administrator Bootcamp is also starting. So that is basically a 45-day boot camp. So you can just participate in that too. So later on, first get your basics cleared right here in this boot camp. then jump off to the AZ-104. Don't directly jump off to the AZ-104 because that will be of no use. You won't be getting anything. First, try to clear your basics. Try to build your core that Agam sir is helping you to build upon. So focus on that, and definitely you'll achieve good something in the cloud. So thank you, sir. Thank you for joining in, and you have something to
My
share.
pleasure. Yeah, well, just two things more. Like tomorrow, we'll be covering the security services and the cost options that we have in the AZ900. Apart from that, uh, I also want to share that, like whatever we discussed today, I would request everybody to just uh, go to the Microsoft Learn website, and from there you can check all the topics. Like we discussed virtual machine scale sets, availability zones, and feel free to reach out to me in case you have any queries.
Yeah, definitely.